It's just getting crazy out here in the world, and the world is such a different place than what I knew it to be before. And what am I talking about? There's been another shooting, as if you probably knew already or found out, on the New York City subway on the Q train. This was not that they have to be provoked, because most of them are not, but I mean, doggone it. Just walked up to a dude that you see here on the banner and just shot him. Shot him in the chest, just like that, for no reason at all. Is this what it's coming to? I'm glad I'm not in New York City. Like I said, I'm in New York. I was born and raised in New York City. April 8th, 1963. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of that part, but I'm not proud of what I hear the feedback being when I say I'm from New York City. Oh, crazy place. There was another guy the other day, an electrician I spoke to. He says, I can tell you're from New York. Bullshit place, bullshit place. I was like, hold on a second. What you mean by that? You know what I mean? I'm going to have to represent, because in recent years, yeah, but not the old school way. And things happened back then, but enough is enough. And people all over the world are beginning to see and understand what's going on, and they're formulating their opinions on that. Sister Oyala back right up on top of things. Yes. I'm glad to see you with your beautiful self. Yeah, it's getting rough out here. Like I said, I'm not going to stay up so long. I just want to touch on this. I had a few quick thoughts that I want to speak on, and I'm going to take myself on the bed, and that'll be that. But let's just get a little idea about this story. I'm not trying to be a reporter or anything, never that, but I just want to give a little background on this. I'm going to read this out of the New York Post, and it's done in a story style. Subway operator recalls fatal shooting on Q train in Lower Manhattan. And here it is how it starts. The operator of a Q train recalled the moment he tried to save a strap hanger who was critically injured during a random shooting on the subway in Lower Manhattan on Sunday morning. I went to work expecting to do my regular job, not expecting to be the first person to a shooting, trying to help a person who was shot, the operator, Louis Irizarry, said in a statement. The victim, 48-year-old Daniel Enriquez, was discovered lying in a pool of blood by Irizarry after passengers alerted him to the scene. The operator then attempted to perform chest compressions. We are not trained for that, he said about the first aid tactic. How can we mentally prepare for something like that? Enriquez was shot by a complete stranger in the last car of the northbound Q train around 11:42 a.m. as the subway crossed the Manhattan Bridge. Once the Q train crossed the bridge and pulled into the Canal Street station, a witness to the shooting pulled the emergency brakes. Irizarry said he got off the train at the station to investigate and noticed panicked strap hangers shouting, "He has a gun," and someone got shot. The operator walked to the last car and saw the victim bleeding from the chest on the train floor. Oh, man. As I got to the last car, I saw a gentleman lying on the ground with a gunshot wound to his chest, he said. He didn't appear to be breathing. His chest wasn't moving up and down. Irizarry, who had no formal CPR training, said he attempted to revive the man who was left lying alone in the panic. Nobody was helping him, so I got down and pushed down on his chest, giving chest compressions, he said. I'm not a trained EMT, but I was trying to help this man. He continued to give the man chest compressions to no avail until police and paramedics arrived at the scene. The victim was rushed to Bellevue Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Chapman tried to keep panicked commuters calm and directed them to alternate subway routes. Irizarry's co-worker, the train's conductor, Wallstein Chapman, called rail control to inform them of the shooting. We did what we had to do, he said. My heart is still racing, but I had to do what I had to do. Meanwhile, the gunman described as a heavy-set man with a beard. Now, notice that. Notice that now. Just one or two more sentences in the article. Meanwhile, the gunman described as a heavy-set man with a beard. Was he black? Was he white? Was he this? Was he that? Was he Asian? If he was black, they would have said that he was a heavy-set black man with a beard, right? They say he fled when the train pulled into the Canal Street station. He ran up the stairs out of the station to Center Street, police officials said. He remains at large. Yeah, a couple more sentences there we don't even need to read, but that's what happened. And to me, that's like a typical day in New York City. Now, for the time that I was in New York City, which I would say is 38 years out of my 59, this wasn't the norm. People got mugged on the train. Things happened, but not like just, even with the other guy. What's the guy's name? Frank James, the black man who was a YouTuber, and he shot at 10 people and put the smoke bomb. What kind of mess is this going on these days? You sit at home twiddling your thumbs. I'm going to go out and shoot people today. There's definitely something wrong in the air. There's definitely something wrong with us. Okay, you have people out here who are mentally sick, right? They have mental issues. But then there's something else added in the atmosphere. Like I said the other night with the telepathic attack video that I did that got taken down and put back up by YouTube. They gave me a strike and got away from it. So, I mean, what was I saying that was wrong? And what am I saying wrong now? There's something different. I mean, there's the tension. There's the economy that's jacked up. You can make a lot of money, but it doesn't have any power. They're the meds that people are taking. They're the drugs that people are taking. They're the things that's the assaults on our mind through social media. The sex. Materialism. Status. You're nothing. You don't have a booty like that chick, so you got to go get a fake booty. You don't have the money like that man, so you got to go rob a bank. Who are you? You're just a bus driver. You're just a maintenance man. You're nothing. You have no status. All these things attacking our mind. We're spiritually off. Doesn't mean, I have to go to church more. If you're looking to go to church to find spirituality, I got a bridge to sell you, because you're not going to find it. Just control. Society is off more than it ever has been before. And it's becoming a cartoon. It's becoming a caricature of itself. This is like when they talk about reality TV, it's beginning to get where the reality TV is getting boring, and reality now is the amped up entertainment of the world. I'm not saying that this man being killed is just entertainment, but we have no more regard for life. And people have been killed for hundreds of thousands of years, and wars and things happening. Things were rough and in the South and stuff like that. But, back in the day when we thought about the future, those who are kind of in my age group, it doesn't matter the age group. I mean, even the youngsters now, 30 and under, they're seeing a change, and things were jacked up, or, just the last few, the good days when they were born, but they don't remember that. Something off. Imagine the mindset of those now who have to take the train after the whole James thing, or Frank James, whatever his name is, the big black man, big hunk, the big weirdo looking. He's a weirdo looking dude though, for real. The black one that shot the 10 people, that was a weird looking dude. I did not get good vibes just looking at him on sight alone. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be straight up. That dude looked like a pervert, man. He looked like a peeper. Like he goes and peeps the women's windows and whatnot. Hangs around prostitutes but never buys them. You got them weirdos like that. They just hang around. Just want to look at booty. Yeah. So what kind of person did this? Like, I'm just going to shoot somebody and get away. And you can get away in New York City, You can get away. You don't have to run. You can run the first bit and then just walk a little bit, gun in your hand, put back in your pocket, and mix in with the crowd. Everybody else is so traumatized and scared. And like I said before, I don't want it to happen, but guess what? There's going to be a lot more happening all across the country, all across America. And we know things happen all over the world, but that New York City is a special place. And I mean, if you don't live there and you live in a different country or you live in different parts of the country, yeah, we know in Detroit, we know in Chicago, we know in Atlanta, we know Los Angeles, we know this stuff is all over the place. Dallas, Houston's bad. So, I mean, I'm not just picking on New York, but that's where I'm from and I know it well. And I know what it used to be. And I remember people who are older than me would tell me, and if there's anybody in those other age groups, maybe, let's see, 80 and above, 75 and above, tell me this. There was a time that my godmother told me that she could ride on the subway train and there could be somebody sitting across from her with a nice gold chain and nobody would look to even pull it off the guy's neck. As an example, it was that kind of place that people would tell you if you had money falling out of your pocket instead of going over there and snatching it and running. You know, and we know we had thieves way back then too. But what happened to that? And I tell you what, I know even though I was born in 63 and came up in the 70s, I kind of started sneaking around on a train by myself like around 13 years old, maybe a little younger. You know, you take the train for a couple of stops, but you got to look at it. It's different. When I went to the High School of Art and Design, and I started going back in fall of 78. Was it fall of 78? Yeah, it should have been fall of 77, but I was in a special program in the junior high school, which my 9th grade was in junior high school, not because it got left back, but it was a SP program for smart kids. And they accelerated this different type of learning. So by the time you got to high school, even though we would get right into the 10th grade, we were like supposed to be like 11th graders as far as what we knew, as far as the curriculum is concerned, right? And because of that, I was taking the train every day, the A train or the E, because they both ended up, you know, depending on who I wanted to ride with, because we had certain buddies that went to the same school from Queens. We were born, you know, we were raised in Queens, but we would take the train. So, I want to ride with Michael, or I want to ride with this one or that one, right? And so we take the train every day. And the most I saw was just nutcases who had, I hate to say it like that, I'm tired, y'all. Folks who had little mental issues. That's about it, but nothing violent. It was always funny stuff. And, you know, you're young, so you're going to laugh at certain things. You know, you see somebody with a nervous tick, or you see somebody telling jokes or saying something loud or just being stupid or just looking weird. And we'd look at each other and crack up. And that's all it was. But one thing's for sure, you know, things did happen, and I'll admit that, but it was yes. Peace, sun goddess. Jeff and y'all is still, I'm up late for me. So I know it's like for some who are on the West Coast, it's like really back there, but the East Coast, what is it now? 3:41. So it's going to be a little bit before 12 on the East Coast. Out here in Accra, it's 3:41. So this is going to be cut short. I just wanted to share a few thoughts and that way. But that being said, New York City was one big adventure. It was just fun. You saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you didn't see death like that. And I've seen death, but not on the subway. I couldn't imagine being on the subway train when something like that happened and you see a gun go off. And you heard of things happening with guns. People got stuck up with guns just all across New York City, but you had your wits. You had growing up in that place, in that environment, you know, you had a sixth sense. And when you were young like me back at that time, you were adventurous. You didn't even think about these things. You heard about things, but you didn't think about it. I mean, I was even thinking back to a gentleman, I'm saying that sarcastically. You can Google it, Bernhard Goetz. I don't know how many people here will remember that, but that was back in 1984. Bernhard, what a name, Bernhard Goetz, Goetz, Jewish man, I take it, with a name like Goetz. But he was on a train, and this was on December 22nd, 1984. And he was in Lower Manhattan. Don't know what train it was exactly, going back and forth, whatever. And 4 teenagers boarded the train. And their names were Barry Allen, Troy Canty, can't forget it, you know, Darrell Caby, and James Ramseur. And they walked up to him, or he claimed that they were all 4 walked up to him. These are black kids, and this is some Jewish man, right? He claimed that they asked him for $5, and he felt that he was about to get mugged because they had a certain look in their eye. So he pulled out a gun and shot them all before getting out of there. Ain't that something? So his head was jacked up. Now, things happen on the train, and I could imagine, dudes with sagging pants back in them days too. Some of them looking dirty. I mean, like, we had some young dudes out there that were living like they were out in the street, and they were street dudes. They were real street dudes. They were like hungry wolves that they would do. I'm not saying all black men were like that in New York City. You had an element of that. You did have an element of that. I'm not going to demonize any particular neighborhood, but you had some guys like, and I have great friends that come from Brownsville, but when you said Brownsville, it struck fear in your heart because it's like, yo, them brothers on Bed-Stuy. I mean, they don't play. Oh, man. Them Brooklyn dudes, they were the real thing when it came to doing stuff. Uptown in Manhattan, the dudes pretty much, you had rough dudes up there, but they wanted to party. They wanted to get with the girls, wanted to dress up nice and stuff like that. But you had roughness all over the city. And Queens was looked at as soft way back in the days until crack came and you saw and heard things that went on. So, and we moved out to Queens, and I don't think I was too soft, but I wasn't a street guy anyway, but I had my wits about me. But, Bernard Goetz is still alive, and I heard he's still living in the same apartment that he did on 14th Street back in the day. He's still there. He ran to be a politician. So, here's the guy who shot 4 young black guys. And like I said, if they did approach him and maybe he had a thing about it and whatever, who knows? That's an old case that kind of polarized New York City. But look at stuff now. You just walk up to somebody and just shoot them dead. Now, I don't care who it is. You know what I mean? We're not put here to take anybody's life. If you threaten mine and I feel that you're coming for my life, then I'm going to have to do something to you. That's just nature. But this guy, Daniel Enriquez, come on, man, 48 years old. I don't know. These dudes be looking old sometime. Dang, I'm 11 years older than him. I'm like, what am I going to start really looking like? No, but he didn't look bad. He just has gray hair. But what I'm saying is that, look at the guy. The guy probably didn't have no venom inside of him whatsoever. He was minding his business, probably thinking about like how his day is going to go. Maybe later on he was going to go to his favorite restaurant. Maybe he had kids. Maybe he didn't have kids. Maybe he had a wife or maybe whatever. 48 years old. You're not thinking about stuff like that. You're thinking about, well, I got 20, 30 more years, maybe, who knows? But you're at the point you're so close to 50. It's like, I'm taking every day, one day at a time. And, there's so many good people that are in New York City. You see, I'm not going to demonize that place. I know a lot. I know a lot. I don't want to put a number on it, right? But in my travels, like I said, there's pricks everywhere, and you got some pricks in New York too. You got some rough ones in New York too. But there are a lot of good people who were born and raised or migrated there, and they don't make $1 million. And you don't have to make $1 million to have a car. But even if you have just one of those from point A to point B cars, there's no place in Manhattan really to park. So what are you going to do? You got to take the public transportation, unless you're going to pay for an Uber. And that could add up over time because Uber prices in New York are nothing to play with. Really, is better than the yellow taxi. So what choice do New Yorkers have? Now they have to get this PTSD riding the subway because now you got to watch out for everything. Watch out for everybody. You never know when it's going to come. You never know what's going to happen. I told you that little story that happened to me. I was coming from the Bronx. I can't say adolescent because I was in my 20s, but there was some festivities going on, and I realized I had to get back in Queens in the morning time because I had something to do very important. So I had to leave there, and it was blizzard weather. What train was I on? The 6th train or something? I was trying to get down into Manhattan to get one of the trains to get out to Queens. So I kind of forgot the train, but it was an elevated line, I know, and it was running local. And there was nobody out there, and I was well dressed. I was coming from some function and, thought I was slick, looking all good, dressed down and everything, muscular and in shape, but you couldn't see that. My face was chiseled. I was a young guy. I was feeling good. Went up there and, indulged in the calisthenics. And when I realized I had to get out, and I was like, why did I come up here? Now I got to take this long train ride. Cabs, the blizzard weather, you weren't going to get a taxi I wasn't going to get a taxi because they didn't pick up black men. They weren't up in those parts. They were down in Midtown Manhattan. Taxi cabs, I tried to call. I was going to pay and spring for the money, but it's like, oh, you have a 2-hour wait. And I'm like, I can't wait. Let me just hop on this train. So here I am with a nice trench coat, nice shoes, nice suit on or whatever, just clean cut, sitting there. And 4 dudes got on, little short dudes. I know they were Latino, not no knock up against them or Latinos, right? It's just that that's what they were, black, Latino. We're all in the same neighborhoods, and sometimes, survival of the fittest. So I'm sitting there, and I had a good amount of money on me. I mean, I had, I don't know, what was it, like 1,000, 2,000, something thousand. It wasn't more than 3, but I had a good amount of money on me, and I felt that way. And when you have money in your pocket, you walk different, you look different, and sometimes you're a little apprehensive because it's like, I got this money, I can't have anybody come and take it from me, right? So these guys got on from another car. They didn't get on the train. They got on from another car. And there was nobody on the car in front or behind. So this was like 3:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, blizzard. It wasn't a blizzard happening. A blizzard had happened, and it was just now the city was waking up, melting and everything, and stuff can get around. So they got on and got in front of each of the doors and whipped out a knife, one of them, and started picking his teeth with a smirk on his face, looking at me. I was like, oh man, this is about to happen. The door near me on my side, I looked over at him and he did the same thing, pulled out a switchblade and picked his teeth, smirking. The other 2 did the same thing. So, all right, I'm going to be chopped liver. I could beat these guys. These guys probably didn't weigh no more than 125 pounds each. And I was super strong back at that time, but I'm not too strong where I can whip a knife. And at least 4 of them coming at me from different directions. So I had to think quick. I didn't have a gun on me. All I had was my wits. So what did I do? Whatever it was, a little over $2,000 that I had, and I was well dressed and sharp, I had to bluff them. They were going to get the money anyway, right? So what was I going to do? Get stabbed up? They were going to, I looked like I had money on me. Right? So I used reverse psychology. I took the money out. I told this story before, but for those who never heard it before, I took the money out and I looked down at it with a smirk on my face and I'm counting it, looking at them, smirking. Then the smirk went off my face. You know what I mean? I'm looking at them and I rolled the money up and I shoved it back in my pocket and folded my arms and looked at them like, okay, come on with it. Oh my God. I should have had Pampers on that day. No, I didn't do anything in my pants, but I thought I was, because now that was the longest reaction that I was waiting for. Were they going to come at me now that they knew I had money and call my bluff? No. Turned around slow on the next stop and got off the train. All 4 of them. And I stood up, and after the doors closed, I'm looking at them. I'm like, to say, like, what's up? Now it would have been funny, right? If the doors go back and open again, because that happens. But now I'm tough. The doors were closed now, and I'm safe. And I sat down in the seat and slumped, and I wanted to cry, not because I'm a punk, but I was so happy to be alive, not to be stabbed up, not to be a statistic like that. Things like that can happen. But that never took away my joy of riding the subway. Never having, when I was younger, to pay a car note, to pay for a car, all these cabs. You hop on the subway, it takes a little time, yeah, but you can get there. And that was an adventure for me, the New York City subway system. It was always an adventure, and I loved it. And the things that I would hear that happen, because look at Bernard Getz, man, December 22nd, 1984. I'm willing to bet, I can't tell you, I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that I was in Manhattan at that time on a subway. I was on the subways every day. And at that time, I was working at Bijan, the designer, Bijan Paksad. He had a boutique on 57th. No, I'm sorry. No, like 55th. 55th, 54th, right around in there, a block or 2 up from the Olympic Tower and St. Patrick's Cathedral right there on 5th Avenue. And we were like doormen. We wore tuxedos and stuff. And I mean, that was a swanky, rich spot. I'm going to do a little show about that one day. The only way to get into that store is to, you had to have an appointment. You just couldn't walk up and go into that store. So, I was training. I was training at a gym on 11th, 4th Avenue and 11th Street, Natural Physique Bodybuilding Gym. Yeah. And so I would go there early in the morning, train people, train myself, go work at Bijan, come back and train more people as a personal trainer. And then they would lock me in that particular gym because I didn't want to have to go for the commute. And my clothes were good at the job there because those tuxedos and stuff that we wore, they were cleaned, there. So, I depended on the subway. Never once was I really afraid because, you're young, number one, physically fit, strong as heck, beautiful body, which the beautiful part don't matter when you're fighting somebody. You had to fight a grown behind man, 350 pounds with a pot belly and 3 years worth of feces in him because he's constipated from the last Thanksgiving. So he could beat you behind too and have a knife. Who knows, right? But I just never got into that mindset. But now that I think about it, if I was living in New York City now, I'd be kind of messed up, especially since I'm a little older. And you know that you're getting closer to that day, and maybe something natural, maybe an accident, but I don't think about those things. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I don't think about transition, which I do on a beautiful level, but I don't think about what could happen to me on the earth. I just don't want to put myself in certain positions. And being on the subway so much growing up, I never thought I'd put myself in a position, but right now, if I was living there, I would think like, oh man, the World Trade Center came crashing down and crushed those E trains below it. The Long Island Railroad's below it, the PATH trains below it, all of those. It's like a city under that place. But people don't realize it. I know that because I've passed through there many a day and night. And the reality of it. Now, how do people feel getting up in the morning time? Your loved one is going to get on the subway. You don't know if it's going to get shot up. You don't know if somebody's going to be like a slasher and want to kill people and stuff like that. What do? You have no choice. So people have got to get together somehow, man, and when something goes down, just run toward it. You can't wait for the police. We want to run. Our instinct is to run away from things, but technically police are supposed to run toward things. They got the guns and the legal right to shoot something, but it's still got to be tough. I know police officers personally that are retired that are close friends of mine, and they tell me some stories. I'm like, man, I'm not a punk, but I'm not trying to run towards something, but it's going to get to the point now where as a civilian, you're going to have to. You're going to have to en masse have that mentality that if you have a gun and say there's 6 bullets in it and there's 100 of us, well, 6 of us have got to think in our mind, or all of us have got to think, well, you can put a bullet in each one of us, but you're going to run out of bullets after a while. We have to have that warrior mentality. We can't think any way less because it's going to affect our health. The hypertension is already there waiting. The foods we eat sometime, but this will push it over the edge. That diabetes, the heart attacks and brain aneurysms and strokes. And, again, remember, it may not have anything to do with getting shot, but a jacked up economy, jobs the way they are, and the weakening dollar. You want to live. Daggone it. Can't you have a little quiet moment on the train on the way to work to a job pretty much that you don't want to go to? And now you got to think about getting shot. Everybody's not getting shot. It's not like, well, thousands and thousands of people were shot on the subway today. But then that wouldn't surprise me either, especially in New York City, where you can be ready for anything. I mean, mental health issues have always been there. We've always seen people in the street, in the subway, all over the place. But it's got to be getting worse now. That is a tough place to live in. And I hear so many of my brothers out here in Ghana and Accra, oh, I want to go to America, but I especially want to go to New York City. No, why do you want to do that? You don't want to do that. It's the kind of a place that if you're set. Not the blue collar working people who are struggling a little bit, right? But when you have money and you're set, you're set. If you're going there as a tourist and you have some kind of money, you go there, you can go there and enjoy this. I have no problem with New York City. I go here when I go there and I go there. But what about the people who live there, who toil, who see all the pretty sights and tourist destinations, but can't afford to go there, nor do they have the time? The most for many people is to work in one of those places and get some food that they get ready to throw out, or some donuts or whatever they were catering or whatever, and you bring it home to your family. It's not stale, it's fresh, but that's the closest many will taste of the brilliance of New York City, the excess of New York City, the flamboyance of New York City. And what I say is not just a New York thing, it goes for the other major cities also. But it's just something about that place that is brilliant and beautiful and technological and cutting edge as it is. It's not as far ahead as it used to be. New York City back in the day was the shiznick for real. It really was. And in other places, you know, social media is shrinking the mentality and things are spreading. And, you know, when you leave New York City as a New Yorker, whether you're not a New Yorker no more, I'm a golden age, dyed in the wool New Yorker. And I'm living in Ghana. And I don't want no part of New York, but I miss it. I don't miss the New York of today where you see these headlines with all of these things that are bad going on, but I miss the golden years, my golden years of New York City. And I realized one thing, those who I love near and dear, who are still alive, I can call them up and we can talk about the good old days, but the good old days don't exist anymore. They don't, they're not there anymore. They're only in the hearts of the people that you love, and you can reflect that on each other. It's like when you lose a parent or you lose your parents and you have brothers and sisters where you both can, or all of you, if it's not just two, it could be 10 brothers and sisters. You can reflect the love of the parents just the same way the moon reflects the light of the sun when the sun is on the other side of the earth and you don't see it, but you see the light. And that's what it's going to come down to. We got to be light for each other, because if we depend on what's in the outside world, it's a gloomy place. You know, for years, I had this strange dream, reoccurring dream, and it wasn't a happy dream at all. But ever since I touched down here in the motherland, I never had that dream again. You want to hear it? Well, here's how it went. And after this, I'm going to run. I would find myself like, I wouldn't say so much of a red light district, right? But it was a place where it was lit enough, but a lot of shadows. Like, you know, at nighttime when you have a lot of warehouses, but they're closed up. Nobody lives there. You might have some homeless people that are there back and forth. And there was nobody around me, like no cars going down the streets around me. But I would look maybe 8 blocks over, 6 blocks over, and see the rear lights of a vehicle as it waited for the light to change and it would pull off. But there was nothing near me. I would see silhouettes of people far away, you know, that if I screamed, they wouldn't hear me, but I could still see their form. And it was just dark. And I'm walking, but I never walked up on anything. That street that had those cars and a couple of people walking by, when I got there, there was nothing there. So what was that? That was like a darkness coming over. I wouldn't say my life, but I would say pretty much the world. And my world, since coming here, I never had that dream again. So it has something to do with the geography. But also, too, I wouldn't say New York City because I lived for 19 years in Orlando after moving from New York City, but I'm a New Yorker to the bone. So we have the spiritual strongholds, we have the frustrations, we have the people with the mental illnesses. And you know what? That doesn't even bother me. Because people will say, well, people to shoot somebody, you have to be mentally ill. Yes, we understand that, but that's mentally ill 3.0. There's something else going on with these people spiritually, you know, and we're being squeezed. But the good people, they hold on. And I don't know how they hold on in a place like this anymore, because I would be straight paranoid, you know, because I used to wander. I used to really hang out in the city. And my brother, I won't even say his name. You all know his name, but I'll just say his initials if he's listening. Casey, he told me the other night, he said, man, I never saw anybody who knew New York City like you. You knew the back streets. You knew Soho, the Village. You knew Harlem, the East Side, the West Side, Midtown. You know all of these nooks and crannies, because I used to go into New York City and I used to love to go and get magazines. And I didn't care if it was 11:30 at night. I didn't care if I was 15 or 14 years old. I'm like, listen, I'm hopping on this A train and I'm going out to Times Square and I'm going to get my boxing magazines. I'm going to get my bodybuilding magazines. And I was also interested in a lot of design type magazines. And back in the day, it was back in the 80s too. And I wasn't 14 years old then, but I remember picking up Architectural Digest and Florida Design, right? And I used to love to look at the international magazines with different things. I would come back home with 15, 20 magazines and sit home and read. And I'd get my little money, my little jobs. I was doing a little allowance, whatever. When I was much younger, I'd go out there and get these things. And so there was an Indian guy, right? He was cool with me. He had a newsstand right there on 42nd and 7th. 42nd and 7th on the southwest corner. There might still be a newsstand there. But if I didn't show up in time, because the boxing magazines would sell real quick. You had Boxing Illustrated, World Boxing, Big Book of Boxing. And of course, the news in the boxing magazines were like 2 and 3 months like late because they had to take time to publish it. But it was still sweet information for me because, you know, TV didn't have it. TV had more. But what I'm saying is that the subway, whatever you were doing in New York City, was an integral part of your life, no matter what. And you evolve with it and you grow with it. And even when I went back a couple of years ago, what was it, back in 2019 when I went to July, you know, I hopped on the subway and it still had the same subway smell when you're walking down the street over the grating and the train goes below you and that smell that comes up. I'm not saying it's a stench. It's just a smell, and you got to be there to know it. It's not something you're, oh, it's nasty or whatever. It's nothing nice, but it's neutral, but it's New York. And it's a smell that, you know, and then you smell the hot dogs being cooked as you walk past. It's just something about that place that you have to experience, but it's being tarnished right now. It's being tainted right now. Because all over, no matter where you lived in New York City, the subway would take you where you had to go, except Staten Island, because you had to get down to the Staten Island ferry, and Staten Island was a separate entity. You had to take a little boat over there to go there. But still, you know, it kept them over there. Yeah, some rough sides of Staten Island, and for some, they love the isolation. Staten Island was more Jersey-ish to me than anything else, right? So I will be talking some shows and doing some shows about New York. But like I said, you know, as far as a move is concerned out of America, I'm happy about it. My heart bleeds for those who are there. Not that things are going to happen to everybody, but just that extra dollop of tension that you have to walk with in your everyday life. I mean, this is not what I look forward to. I'm not there, but I still feel it like I'm there, and I look forward to better days when things are better in the city, and it let me down. I'm glad I left, but I'm still a New Yorker. I'm glad I left, but you know what? I still walk with the fun times and the good times, and that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? And on that note, I'm going to get ready to slip on out of here. It's a beautiful thing, you know, but it's bittersweet, and I will continue to share my memories through the written word, through the blogs, and through the videos and stuff. And I want to connect with people who are still there and people who know that time, because, you know, people are still going there. And the bottom line is with that is that, you know, one man's garbage is another man's treasure. And people are going there and going forward with their careers and making good money and living what they feel is a good life. So I'm not going to demonize it like that because I'm not there, or maybe because I had my fill of it. You know, time moves on, things change. And I've known people to come from little small towns across America, and they went to their little college and whatnot and got a good job with a company, making good money, 6 figures, and they're not even 23 years old yet. This way back in the 80s, you know? So I'm not going to demonize it. It's all depends on the person, but the atmosphere is something that I would not want to deal with because I don't want to walk around my guard up like that. You know what I mean? So that being said, I want to say good morning. It's 4:06 in Accra, Ghana, and I know it's 12:06 on the East Coast of the United States, and that's where most of the people are listening, and some folks up in Canada like Ayala. And I haven't been looking at the chat room, so don't think I'm being rude. I just wanted to rant a little bit about what happened, and I'm going to do things like this more often about different subjects, just a freestyle and a free flow on the feelings. And right now, I do have to get up, not super early, but early enough, you know, and I'm going to hit the sack, and I'll be in the bed probably like another 5 minutes, dozing off real good. Anyway, you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here, and know that I love you all. Peace.
Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion? Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then, following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell. Before we came to America, we were living in the East. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes, slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and fire water. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.